Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. We're going to look at Rapid again. This is not a sponsored video this time around, this is just me making presets. And I just want to show you a couple of presets and then a quite a special one towards the end. So this is what I like to call the style of Jean-Michel Jarre from the 80s more specifically. He's still going right now, he's still a cracking, pioneering producer. But I wanted to have a go at just creating some organic, sort of real-world hardware synth elements, and this really does the trick. It's something that I've fallen in love with quite quickly. The way you can develop ideas so quickly in here and build multiple components within the actual synth itself and not have to load different ones up, you're kind of reducing your CPU usage as well. As you can see, we're at 5% up here. And I didn't mention in the previous video, you can change the graphic settings so CPU software is actually controlling everything on the GUI, or you can use the GPU to actually control it as well as the frame rate, so that does help. So I'm just going to let you have a listen to how dynamic this sounds and how much character the kind of modulation features add, and then I'll just quickly walk through the presets for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you what is happening here really quickly without going into great detail. On oscillator A, we have a multi-sample Rhodes, and then we have two wavetables, an analog saw, and then a generic one. I don't know where that is in the factory presets, but it is there. And we're just using the organic drift as well as some distortion to obviously shape these sounds. Bit of modulation on the treble using the filter knob up here, which is also connected to the filter here. And this is connected to the second layer as well, but we'll look at that in a second. So all that is being modulated. This is modulating the cutoff as well, this sequencer, which gives you that kind of phasing in and out sound that you hear here. Let's just get that here. And the peaks don't quite reach full cutoff till that filter comes in, and then it kind of bypasses this, because the sound obviously is filtered in fully. And I was just messing around with the filter, actually doing this manually, which gave me the idea. And yeah, you can go into Cubase or your DAW and route it, no problem at all, and just start automating it using the automation features. But why not do it with the sequencer in here, which makes more sense. And then I've just messed around with some of the delay features and the morphings. You can see here using the LFOs. So this one's going back and forth, and it's just adding that little bit of crunchy detail every so often in there by morphing it back and forth. And this one's going a lot faster, as you can see from LFOA. And it's just all developing the sound. So let's just quickly listen to these on their own and you'll see how it's been built. Let's turn Sparkle off there. So that adds the width to the sound. Then this adds a little bit of character. And that's why it's been morphed so slowly, well, minutely, but really fast, because it's just crazy if you set it off too loud. And then this one, which nicely complements the first one. And it just adds a bit of grit on there, as you can see with the morphing. So if you agree that this does sound like a bit like Jean-Michel Jarre style stuff, especially his earlier stuff, let me know in the comments, see if you think the same. I'm intrigued to see, because this just straight away screamed Jean-Michel Jarre at me. If you're not familiar with him, go and find some of his tracks. Search for Oxygen. That's one of his better ones that are more iconic, should we say, not better. So that is the first one. Then the filter controls various parameters, so including delay amount, reverb amount. These are all assigned here, as well as the sidechain is attached to the verb. So when you filter it out, add more reverb, you get this nice soundscape, but it's been sidechained, and it just saves you an extra insert on your mixer. And then Sparkle is adding this section. Now, this delayer brings this in and out, and you might think it's doing more than what it is. and it's not. It's filtering out the delay, removing it or adding it in as it is now, and it's using this high pass here, and it's just pushing the high pass a bit further up, so it's actually cutting out a lot of the detail. So the sound is that. And the automation then goes hand in hand. If we have a look here, this goes to the talker, so it's automating the crush and the from parameters, as well as the glitch parameters, to give you that nice kind of distorted sound and add more texture again. It's all about texture. Then here we have a few more parameters, and they are modulating other various features on the preset. And then finally D, I think what that is doing is modulating the panning, here. So this pattern is modulating these reverbs, these balance sections, so it's panning it a little bit left and right to give it a bit more dimension. And again, the filter is routed here. So all these kind of glitch effects and talker effects become more apparent, but then kind of coincide lovely with how I've set the modulation up. And then that gives you that whole thing as this. And when you put it here where the modulation is kind of filtering in and out, you hear that second layer coming in and out. And that is Come With Me, and that, just building that preset alone, kicked off with the bass preset sounding like this. This is just one layer, it's called jarring, and it's just using 3 wavetables to create a nice organic kind of hardware sounding bass, or as close as I can get to it at the moment. And it sounds really nice, using the LP Pro for a bit of amplification to give it that warm texture, and then using the default sequence just to modulate the volume and the cutoff. And then we've added some reverb and sidechain again, and then filter, which cuts off the whole thing using the filter section here. So nothing too drastic, but really nice sound using the organic drift and the bend B mode and the asymmetric clip on the distortion section. So really, really nice. Highly recommend just messing around with some of them wavetables just to create some really nice trance spaces, house spaces. Sound really good. So that is jarring. And then finally we have, well, I say finally, we have 2 more. I have this arpeggio. And the arpeggio doesn't really do much. It's just a simple up and down pattern, which is located here. And then we're just doing some basic automation using the LFOs, back and forth. The envelope controlling that for the cutoff. And I don't think I have assigned macro controls, just the one to filter in and out. But I've kept it at that level because that's where I wanted it in the mix. So nothing too drastic there, just using the reverb and the tonal delay to give it a little bit of different character. And that's using both samples, I think it's multi-samples. Yeah, both multi-samples. Oh, and then sorry, on layer 2, we have these. So we have 2 wavetables here being modulated with the organic drift. No, we're using the formant shift. And that's what gives it that nice character. And then just various modulation. So we've got a notch filter and a vintage low pass. Just experimenting with the sound, and that is the preset that I came up with there, using the Fantasy Cube preset for the reverb as well. Really, really recommend this just for the reverbs. Okay, and that's not been named yet, so drop a comment down below, let me know what that preset should be called, and if I see the comment, I'll rename that one. And finally, we have the comb filter, which is called Comb My Hair. So let's put it in context. One layer, using a comb filter, modulating the comb filter slightly there with a slow LFO. Then we've got a high pass, low pass filter here, which is set to parallel, so I could have a mess around using this side by side with the comb filter, and the results are quite interesting. Then we've got some reverb in here that we can introduce, and dual delay as well. Just sounds really nice. And we're using the sync bend mode A and the organic drift here with quite a lot of warm on it and a bit of drift. And in context, and it just develops this whole drive for a new track and a new style for me, really. I've never really delved into this sort of analog, experimental electronic music. It's just something that I've always wanted to do and never thought I had the tools. And here we are. And finally, I'm going to show you this one here. Now, it's the Ocean. So if you guessed the Ocean, let me know in the comments. This preset is entirely made with 3 layers using white noise and various other noise presets, wavetables that you get. So let's have a listen to the first one. So combination of using distortion, a bit of reverb, a bit of equalizer. I haven't used a reverb release tail like I usually would on the envelope to kind of give it that simulation effect, like it's splashing and kind of roaring off a little bit. But instead, I've used the sequencer. So that increases the volume a little bit, it increases the distortion, and gives you that effect. And then we have some more modulation happening here, which is controlling various other parameters. Bit of back and forth with the LFO on the balance there, but this one here, let's just have a quick look, because I did this about 2 AM in the morning. Sequencer B is controlling insert control 1, so it's controlling the exciter, so it's kind of dropping off the top end volumes a bit to give you that impression the waves are moving. Really, really convincing. And then finally, sequencer C is giving you that wave. And what that is controlling there, if we look down here, LFOC, sequencer B, is controlling the EQ frequency. Introducing a little bit more bass, like when the waves start crashing, gives you that little bit of in-depth feel to it. Makes it a little bit more realistic. But I wasn't happy just there. Layer 2 consists of a water noise. So there's 2 of these. This is the first one, which sounds like this. And that is kind of the extra detail. That sounds more like water. And there's just basic modulation with the volume there. Then on layer 3 we have water noise 2. We just have this extended kind of cymbal crash sound. And this is the bit that I am now mixing into the other layers, so it sounds like the crashing of the water when it kind of overlaps itself and collapses. And I'm just working on that sound to fit it in. But you can hear all these other elements fitting in. Just using these modulations and modulating various parameters. And yeah, it's seriously impressive. It's brought back some of my sound design desires, shall we say. So that is another introduction to building presets on Rapid. Again, this is not endorsed, this video. This is my own just enjoyment for the plugin. So I'm just going to record this ocean sound in there and then we'll end the video. So let's just start punching that in. Okay, so I don't want it to go on too long because it is quite repetitive when you can hear the loud wave come back in. But we can always sample it down and change it up and add different layers in and stuff like that. So let's just put that in there. I'm just going to drop the volume of this as well. And there we are. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments. Leave a like if you think it deserves a like. And that was some preset design with me. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.